I'm Kelly Carter, and this is Another Act. Patina, welcome to the show. Nice to see you again.
See you again as well.
Absolutely. So listen, Patina, let's not pretend that you don't know that I'm obsessed with your career and the work that you've turned in. But I want to start here. Where were you in your career when Raising Kanan first came to you?
I had just wrapped on Madam Secretary. I had a 2-year-old daughter at the time. I was definitely moving into this different place in my career. To be on a network show for 6 years after my Broadway experience, and then to go and be away from the Broadway for so long, and then to stay in a show for 6 years and then know that that's ending. I had kind of gotten into a place where it's like, I don't know what my next move is. I know the show is not going to be around anymore, but I had a period of really trying to carve out what it is I wanted for myself and tried to be clear about my goals. And I said that I wanted to be a part of a diverse show. I wanted to work and act with people who look like me. I wanted to be in a process where my voice mattered, and I wanted to play a three-dimensional character, something raw, gritty, that called on all of the things that I feel like I do well. And so in comes Raising Kanan, and it could not have been more. It could not have come at a better time. It's at a time when I needed it, and I had a lot that I wanted to say, and it was a lot that I was trying to prove to myself as a person, as a new mother, navigating this world as not just like, just me being a Black woman, but being a mother in this world. And so to have a character where I could kind of put all of that stuff into my work was just the recipe for me personally. Just like it was the role of a lifetime.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the thing about whatever your prep work for becoming Rock is that we actually have never seen a character like her before on television. So how did you become her? Who were you channeling? What did you draw upon?
So I was channeled a lot of different people. At first on the page, when they talked about Rock was a queen pin, and I first wanted to investigate, what does queen pin mean? What is that? Because I think, like, when we think of that word, like, what does that really mean? I think she's a businesswoman. Like, I attacked it as sort of like, this is a woman who is extremely comfortable in her skin and who is out here navigating being the CEO of a company while also mothering her child, her son, and so I tried to draw on those two things, because that I could bring my own experience into. When you put it into not the queen pin, but being a businesswoman and an ambitious woman. I drew on my own experiences as a young girl growing up in South Carolina. My mom had me at 15. I mean, I've told you this story a little bit. My mom had me at 15, and I watched her navigate wanting things for herself, not necessarily getting them, but putting all of that into me and making sure that I got every opportunity that I could get. So I knew what it was like to be the child of a young mother, growing up side by side with your mom, both making mistakes, and her mothering in the only way that she knew how. And then I think of all the strong women in my life, my grandmother who helped raise me, teachers, all of these different women in my life who have who have just had so much power and so much gravitas. And obviously it kind of was passed down to me. Um, and I'm just so lucky that I had those experiences in my life, and to now be at the stage of being a mother, knowing what that is. And because I do think that to play this role for me, it helped that I am a mother, right? And it helped me to kind of see Raquel in a way that maybe some others might not, and you only get it if you are a parent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Raquel not only parents Kanan, but she is kind of parenting all the men in her life,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
her younger brother, she's kind of parenting Marvin. She's parenting Jukebox. She's the matriarch of the family, and the weight that one must carry, and women carry it all the time, and like, Black women carry it all the time, having to carry everybody else's weight. That is what Raquel has. It's an experience that I know, having to provide for your family, but your extended family and what that means. So I knew the stakes going into it. And it just so happens it's a beautiful show with beautiful words where I, as an actor, get to just bring myself to it. And everything just comes alive.
Yes. Was there a particular moment when you felt that Raquel was exactly who you imagined her to be?
There's two scenes, right? There's one scene where Rock is with Kanan at the end and they're at the beach and she sees her failure to like to stop him. You know, she sees his fate kind of in a way when she looks at him and she sees his face and she has to come to terms as a parent. Oh my God, this is me. It's my fault. So now what am I going to do, right? To keep him safe. And that's how the first season, you know, it's like she has to recognize that she caused this. He has this joy and she sees his fate. And so now she's going to warn him and arm him with the tools to at least be able to take care of himself. And that's when I knew that we'd had something special because you not only got to see the strong woman within this first episode busting into the school, you know, guns and everything, going toe to toe with Unique. You got to see the damage. You got to see this vulnerable mother at the end of the day.
Yeah, you know, you've been working tirelessly for years, but Raising Kanan, outside looking in, has increased your visibility and it's put you in front of a different audience. And that is the audience that shifts the culture, I think. So has that shifted things for you and how you move in Hollywood?
Yeah, you know, I think it took like a little minute for people to kind of catch on to it. It kind of is like a word of mouth thing. You know, I've just kind of been here making the same moves and trying to like bring myself to the work like I have always done. And so, but the reception to the character, and it's nice that people feel the way that I feel about the character. When I first opened up the script and saw how beautifully damaged and flawed this woman was, but you do still root for her and she is identifiable and like there's something about her that like you see in yourself, other women see in themselves, and you know, it's not one thing or the other. She's a universal, that whole thing with her. It's not just because she's a Black woman, but it's women, you know what I mean? There are pieces of her that people can kind of recall from somewhere, some memory. And that is what I've loved, getting those phone calls, and because she's ferocious.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was so interesting that, and I think this was right, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the first move you made after the first season of Kanan was to go back to the stage for a Broadway revival for Into the Woods. Why was that? What is it about the stage that you didn't get from television?
I think it's just it's training. It's honing my craft even more. I was just talking to a fellow actor who's done TV work as well. And while we talked about why we love going back to the theater, you get immediate response from an audience. You're working in real time. There are no cameras. You know, you don't have 2 and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 takes to kind of get your character. You're working like within 3 hours to figure out this character's process, and it's how you go about it every day, the repetition of doing the work, and you get to just hone your craft more, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah. Well, what has Raquel taught you about yourself? Anything there?
Yeah, I think Raquel has taught me how to walk into rooms and be myself and just being unapologetic about who I am. She's taught me about owning my voice and trusting my voice and trusting my instincts. And you know yourself, right? And you know things, and sort of trusting that gut. I think it's really, I walk into rooms now, and I walked into them before, but she's given me such power, and I have my own power from that, and just belief in myself, why I'm here, what I'm doing, and that's the greatest gift, is to be able to walk in that truth and your honesty and be okay.
So many actresses that I talk with, whenever I ask what kind of a script they would love to get placed in front of them would be, they either say one of two things: a superhero script or exactly what it is that you're doing right now. So that said, how does this change things for you?
I think what it changes is that I know that it can be done, right? And I know that there is people respect that. So for so many people within the universe and fans of the show, send me such beautiful things about my acting, about my believability, and about how my character has touched them. And they're talking in terms that actors talk. And that makes me feel like I've done my job. And I know that it is something that is possible. And if Sasha Penn can create a show like this where, it's a female lead that is truly three-dimensional and dealing with heavy stuff, it can be done again in a different way. And there is an audience for it, and people want that, and people appreciate it. So I only hope that the project that I go into, wherever it is, on a hiatus or nothing, the stakes need to be like this, right? Like it needs to be like this. I mean, I have this thing now it's going to be, that's what I'll always be searching for.
I love hearing that. I mean, I honestly can't say enough about how much I really love the work that you do. So what's next for you? Is there something out there that you would just love to do, whether it's even behind the scenes?
I love being in front of the camera, but I'm starting to be. I love the way that the show works, and I'm really invested in every little nook and cranny of the show and how it gets put on. And so, I love to produce, I love to direct, because the things that I bring to rock as an actor, I'd love to be able to do and to direct, and sort of like, work with other actors in that way. I want to continue to create roles that I am able to pull from my own life, and continue to do great work. People keep telling me that I look like Diana Ross, and like that I should be in a biopic of Diana Ross. So I'm like, who's gonna write that? And I'm just like, literally, my timeline is always Diana Ross, play
Yes.
Diana Ross. I've never seen it, but I'm like, okay, universe.
Oh my God, now I can't unsee it. Yes, why did you tell me this? Let's let the people know that you also have a phenomenal voice too. So yes, that could actually happen.
And her story is beautiful, and it's like, like, why not? So there are a lot of things. I'm doing music, and I'm still doing my Broadway show. So it's about picking the right moments and the right projects for me. And I just want to continue to just kind of bring joy and bring, conversation with the roles that I take, and hopefully people can get something from that.
One thing I didn't ask you that I really wanted to know is, did it surprise you that the reception that you've gotten about, this character in particular? Because I was going to say that she's not designed to be very lovable, but the thing that I hear from people who aren't in the industry is that she feels familiar. They say that she reminds them of their mom in the 90s, or how their aunties looked, in the 90s. What about you? Was there a surprise, or maybe there wasn't?
It is a surprise, but she was familiar to me. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, when I read her on the page, and I wanted to just designing this character, because it really was a collaboration with Sasha. We just wanted her to feel so familiar. And, I remember the moment my mom was like, you don't let somebody hit you. Don't you come home. You know what I mean? And I remember those conversations. And then I'm like, oh my God, I remember that. Well, here we go. I remember the conversations that my mom would have with my brother when he was acting out, and the hard lessons that I got a front row seat into, watching that dynamic play out. So she feels familiar because I've witnessed a lot of those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And people go through, it's a family drama. Everybody got issues. No family is perfect. There is a rock in somebody's family. There is a jukebox. There is a Marvin. There's a Lou. There's a Kanan. You know what I mean? And that is what's so cool about this show, and particularly Rock, is that she feels authentic and real. And listen, like I told you, playing a queen pin, that's like, for me, that's boring. That's like boring to just play into the queen pin of it all. But for me, I like to play into, like, what's the other thing? Like, what's the thing that's not on the page, right? And how she smiles, when she chooses to smile, who is she soft with, who does she choose to show her soft side with? Because I really wanted to first have her smile, really that love come through. And because it can't just be all hard, because we've seen that on TV, we've seen that character, we've seen like the strong woman, but we've also seen like, oh, poor single Black mom, like, oh, woe is her. No, she chooses to be single. You know,
Yeah.
this is a life she's carved out for herself. Everything that's happening in her life is because she wants it to be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so she's full and she's resonating because I'm trying to give her as many layers. I want her to so be like, you think you know her, but then second season, you, as you've seen, there's a whole other side of that, you know?
No, I love it. And I love you, Patina. I wish you all the success in the world because you deserve it. Thank you so much. It's fun watching you as Raquel, for sure.
I really appreciate it, Kelly.